All right, y'all. They say that Trump is important. Tons of mystery beef. And people are furious. Let's get straight into this video. But first, like it before you light it. Hit the sub before you hit the bud. And join the team before you hit the green.
Hype me up. Hype me up. Hype me up.
I am no longer eating meat after Donald
Trump is having serious issues with his meat supply in the United States of America.
Beef is coming from while simultaneously rounding up a bunch of horses and sending them overseas to get slaughtered.
Oh, they said Donald Trump is importing over 300,000 metric tons of imported beef. Let's see how MAGA feels about this one. Let's check out these clips and what you need to know about any cons about this whole import of beef from other nations. Let's check it out.
I am no longer eating meat after Donald Trump would not even disclose what country he is importing 300 metric tons of meat. All right, let me correct that. 300,000 metric tons of meat. Of course, the cattle ranchers in America are the ones getting fucked. They're also
the same ones that voted for that boy. That's the crazy part.
Hunting America's wild horses to export the meat to countries that eat horses. What?
We have right now. The growth will take care of that very easily.
Mr. President, 700.
Question about it.
Mr. President, on the beef deal, which countries did you make that deal with? What are the sources
Which
of
deal?
the beef deal?
I don't want to say which countries, but there are a few countries, but they're going to be sending in the highest quality beef, and it's something that we need.
Donald Trump is...
Hold up now. Certain countries are known for their beef. The highest qualities of beef. I want to say, even though Argentina is known for being racist as hell, but I want to say Argentina is on that list for like producing some top tier beef. And he didn't say Argentina. So let's just see, bro.
Having serious issues with his meat supply in the United States of America and is bringing in mystery meat from other nations right now, infuriating MAGA. So several things are happening. Number one, America's meat supply is struggling and beef prices in the United States are rising. And so what he did today was say, well, I'm going to import hundreds of thousands of pounds of beef into the United States and price cap the beefs. Socialism. Well, farmers, MAGA farmers specifically, have erupted saying, we don't want this. We want you to use our beef that we're producing. Well, Trump doesn't have enough beef, so he says we have to get it from elsewhere. But he won't tell anyone where he's getting this beef from. So Americans may soon be eating beef, mystery meat, from countries they don't know where it's coming from. Beef from imported from areas that may have, I don't know, food safety issues? Ring a bell? And so we're in a situation where the price of beef is high because of tariffs. He's admitting that. He's importing beef from elsewhere. We don't know where the beef is coming from. MAGA's upset about it, and so he has some issues right now. Spread the word, follow for more.
I think they bring up a valid point because he's not telling us where they come from. Like, we got to be really, really careful about other foods that we bring in. We're just not used to. Just so recently, they already recalled tons of Argentina beef because of import reinspection that did not occur. Like, they didn't even inspect it. Like, you get what I'm saying? There were no reported illnesses or anything connected to that recall, but because they failed the inspection process, they recalled it back. Like, we need to know where this is coming from and if it's going to be good beef, because I promise you, you think other countries is going to send you the best and high quality beef. You got another thing coming. Let's keep watching.
Yo, he ain't lying though, bro. We're going to send you the bullshit and we're going to keep the good stuff for ourselves, man.
You mean you're not going to tell us where this imported beef is coming from while simultaneously rounding up a bunch of horses and sending them overseas to get slaughtered? What do you mean? Donald Trump has been asked multiple times, hey, where are we importing this beef from? And he refuses to answer the question, a question that should not be hard to answer considering we have a couple of countries that we routinely import beef from. But he won't answer the question every single time reporters ask them. He dodges it, all while simultaneously we're rounding up a bunch of horses, sending them overseas to get slaughtered. Okay, I'm not implying anything, but I do not trust our government. Also, the USDA does not routinely test or check the imported beef on the species in which it is. That's not a routine thing. You know what I mean? I'm going to need some of those independent journalists or like scientists or whatever who have their at-home test kits to do that for us when this beef hits the shelves. Please and thank you. Report back. My name is Mercedes Chan. Like, follow me once my face again. Thanks. Goodbye.
So I say, brother, secrecy that these people be doing, dog, is crazy. It reminds me of when they asked Jeff Landry why did he sign an NDA for like what was it? Meta made him sign an NDA. He's like, why do you care so much about what's in this NDA that I signed? Because why did they make you sign it? What's in it that's going to affect us people, bro? Come on now, make it make sense.
I want everybody to think about this for 1 second. The president of the United States announces this deal for beef. And then when he was asked by a reporter which countries he made the deal with, he said, I don't want to tell you which countries. There are a few countries, but I can assure you that it's the highest quality beef. Folks, when the president of the United States of America refuses to tell you which countries they're going to be importing the beef from, that is a major problem. And here's the other thing. All of a sudden, we have the Trump administration allowing all of these wild horses to be caught, and a lot of them, it's being speculated, are going to slaughter. Maybe, just maybe, they are feeding you wild horse meat and not beef. It's a real possibility. But like I said, when the president of the United States refuses to tell you which countries that we are going to be importing beef from, there's something wrong with that, especially with all of these recalls that are happening with jalapenos and frozen blueberries and sprouts and all of this other stuff that's happening. But yeah, the president, patient 47, will not tell us where the beef is coming from. Let me know what you think in the comments, because it's not sitting right with me, and it shouldn't be sitting right with you either. This is Grim with Get the Rant. As always, I'll see you in the next video.
What if he just doesn't know? Y'all know he ain't the sharpest tool in the box. What if he just doesn't remember? Can't put that past him.
Mr. President, on that beef deal, which countries did you make that deal with? What are the sources of the beef deal?
I don't want to say which countries, but there are a few countries, but they're going to be sending in the highest quality beef, and it's something that we need.
Now, before we jump into it, there's some things that you need to know. Now, this amount of beef is not some huge amount, even though 300,000 tons sound like it's a whole bunch, but it's only roughly 2 to 3% of what America consumes on an annual basis, right?
I don't give a damn. I just hope I don't be the 2-3% that's going to catch it and eat it. I don't want it.
But the big problems are not just bringing that in. It's very small and marginal. So what Trump is trying to do is create competition. All right, well, I am going to influx the beef in and create competition between the already present the cattle ranchers to hopefully be competitive, bring down the prices a little bit, and kind of get that to the American people a little bit more. Because
wait, hold on. Saying that is making an assumption that they're doing that on purpose, and it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that so much of the fertilizer that these people use come through the Strait of Hormuz, and that has affected the cost of doing business for them, and then they pass that shit down to us, dog. You know, basically he's trying to circumvent a problem that he created.
Hey, we just need that. But at the end of the day, it's really not much. You think you might get a deal briefly for about 20 to 25%, maybe off of what you've normally been buying beef for. But don't let this number fool you. All right. It's just another thing to keep people talking and keep their real mind to think that, hey, guess what? He's doing something. But this little supplement, this little import, this little tactic, this move is not going to really help at all. If anything, it's probably hurting the cattle ranchers more than you think. Let's go ahead and keep watching.
Truth Social saw a post from President Donald J. Trump talking about how he is going to lower beef prices by importing a lot of beef from overseas. Probably not the greatest plan there, DJT. Here's the problem. The thought process there is, oh, we're going to import beef, which will lower the price of ground beef by 25%, and then farmers are going to start keeping cattle back. They're going to stop selling calves, and they're going to keep those and regrow the cow herd. It doesn't work like that.
Stupid.
Here's the deal. I've got calves that were born last year that are bred this year to be having calves next year. It doesn't turn on a dime. You're going to be looking at, after that cow calves, you're going to have, 6, 7, 8 months before you wean her. And then she's going to be 15 months old before you breed her, typically. And then 24 months old before she has her first calf. And before that calf can actually go into the food supply, it's going to be another about 15 months. So you're looking at over 3 years before, let's see, a calf born January 2026, its first calf will probably hit the food supply in 2029. Something to think about. Quick little market adjustments, quick little infusions of foreign beef into the market doesn't genuinely improve anything in the cattle business. Kind of a slap in the face to ranchers. Love peace, eat more beef.
Yep. All of that bro science that they be talking about, that shit is not real, bro.
How does a company that's worth over $20 billion close one of its locations quite literally overnight? Well, that's exactly the question that those in the cattle industry are asking about the nation's second largest beef processing company, Tyson Foods. On April 13, 2026, Tyson informed their 2,500 plus employees at the Joslin, Illinois beef plant that they're out of a job. Not in a month, not in a couple weeks, that very day.
Do y'all know how that affects the local economy when 2,500 people lose their jobs at the same time? That's going to have a ripple effect.
This location was originally founded by the Iowa beef processors and has been in operation since 1983. Anyway, they process about 3,000 head of cattle every single day. And while workers will be compensated for the next 60 days, it still leaves the question, why overnight? Tyson announced at their shareholders meeting that they've lost an estimated $650 million in their largest segment, beef. And while they published the Joslin plant will be shutting down immediately, they're also shutting down 2 other locations. If you look at the cattle industry, back in 22, we hit major liquidation numbers as we had a multi-year mega drought affecting cattle producers across the nation. And what you've probably heard left us in a 75-year drought. This shows in the financials as packer margins first turned negative in September 24, and by October 2025, they were losing $126 a head. Overall, beef margins dropped to 69% from 2025 compared to 23. And if you look at Tyson's public financial reports, their 2025 fiscal year, they lost over $1.13 billion in the beef industry alone. Now, this does not mean that Tyson came out in the red. Tyson is the largest multi-species protein processing company in the United States. That means they have a diverse portfolio, and that diversification left them in the black and even gave their executives a pretty handsome bonus.
Hey, the crazy thing is, I don't even associate Tyson with beef. I just always remember seeing Tyson chicken.
But it does explain why they're shutting down beef plants that are operating anywhere from 10% reduced processing capacity. But what does this mean for producers? Well, those in the Midwest are probably the ones most affected. The nearest facility is now 160 miles away, but really it's the lack of warning. The plant closure abruptness has left cattle feeders basically screaming to figure out logistics of where cattle are going to go. And just like when Lexington plant closed, live cattle and feeder cattle futures fell while pushing box beef prices higher. There are a couple theories out there. Some like to say that Tyson's getting out of the beef industry. That's their largest segment. I doubt it. And I also heard that some people are saying that this is a way to buy time to fix their facilities so they can process cattle that are bigger frames and be more efficient. While none of those theories are proven, it still is all speculation, but it does leave the question of what's going to come next. But what do you think? Do you think it's purely business and just mitigating operational losses, something larger?
I don't know what it is, but I know who is going to come out better. The corporation is. They're going to always look out for their best interests. So whatever theory is out there, I don't know, but the shareholders are going to be all right. The employees are going to be the ones that get left holding the bag, and so are the cattle ranchers.
President Trump is turning his attention to rising costs for voters today, announcing what he calls a deal to substantially lower the price of ground beef for working American families. The president said on social media that the U.S. will allow up to 300,000 metric tons of product for ground beef to be imported with no out-of-quota tariff. And he said that we have a commitment that this beef will be sold at 25% below current market prices. But all this presents something of a mystery here, guys. In his social media post, the president didn't say who he had concluded this deal with, and he did not specify who exactly had made a commitment to sell that below market beef. Now, CNBC has reached out to the White House with questions about this. We've gotten no response so far, and we are contacting the major beef importers to see if any of those companies will confirm that they are party to an agreement with the White House. We'll let you know if we get any more information, guys. But overall, this really symbolizes the president's concern going into those midterm elections that prices are still too high for consumers, and he's signaling he wants to do something about it.
You might want to just double check where you're getting your steak from for the next few months. Because Donald Trump just announced that we're going to be importing tons of beef from Argentina to quote unquote lower costs. Except the big problem here is that this is the same beef that China rejected earlier this year because it was found to be laced with a chemical called chloramphenicol. Just so everybody's aware, chloramphenicol is banned in both the US and the EU because it can cause, quote, severe, irreversible, and often fatal aplastic anemia in humans. And on top of that, it is a known cancer-causing carcinogen and also has been shown to cause genetic damage. Not ideal, to say the least. And when asked about it on Air Force One, here's what Trump had to say.
Question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
Meanwhile, in the United States, over 160,000 farms have closed between 2017 and 2024, and on average, 77 cattle producers are going out of business every single day. Another win for the golden age.
Ridiculous. That dude is so condescending, bro.
Well, folks, we finally got some details on that 300,000 tons of magic beef that Trump said he was going to come up with, and it is way worse than you thought it was. This is Old Texas Paul. Hope your coffee is as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. Yeah, it's a lie. It's a lie. There is no 300,000 tons of beef that Trump magically found somewhere that he's going to import. No, that's not happening. This does nothing to deal with the supply and demand problem that is making beef so high. See, when this was announced, I was like, bullshit. Where are you? The only way to get additional beef is to slaughter additional cattle. No beef producing country, has excess cattle right now. They're all in the same boat we are. They're all short of cattle. U.S. herds are at historic lows. Now, did ranchers make money in the beginning of this when they were selling their herds off because beef prices were high? Yes. But it's been sustained for so long because of, idiotic policy that now they have been completely unable to rebuild their herds. That's global. There is no excess 300 tons of beef laying around to import. What Trump actually did was he stripped away the trade agreements that we had that were protecting our ranchers right at the time when they are most vulnerable because their input costs have gone astronomically high. Diesel, feed, pharmaceuticals, everything. Transportation is all historically high. They are not rolling. They are not the hole in the bucket. It's not. The corporations are making the most money on this, not the ranchers. And their protections just got stripped away at the worst possible time. This is going to have long-term ramifications for our beef prices. And the eliminating of these tariffs is going to do absolutely nothing to bring beef prices down other than a few pennies in the short term. In fact, it's going to make them worse over the long term. Yeah, there's no beef coming. The supply and demand problem still exists.
Yeah, bro. It's like they're trying to manufacture a food shortage, bro. They already doing it with the water. The data centers are just using up so much water. This is ridiculous, bro. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. This right here is insane. Wild.